We will be starting. It is now 6 o'clock, September 4th, 2018, and I call to order the meeting of the City Council of the City of Victorville. In the City Council sitting is the Library Board of Trustees, Southern California Logistics Rail Authority, Southern California Logistics Airport Authority, successor agency to the Victorville Redevelopment Agency, the Victorville Joint Powers Financing Authority, the Victorville Water District, and the city as housing as its successor. May we have roll call, please?
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Ms. Gomez? Present. Mr. Kennedy?
Here.
Mr. Negretti?
Here.
Mayor Garcia?
Here. At this time, we will have the invocation, and it will be delivered by lay Cantor Elizabeth Payne from Congregation from the Bar. I hope I pronounced it correctly. And after that, the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Police Chief Greg Bessenger. Please stand.
Thank you, Mayor. We pray for all who hold positions of leadership and responsibility in our city life. Let your blessing rest upon them and make them responsive to your will, so that our city may be to the world an example of justice and compassion. Deepen our love for our city and our desire to serve it. Strengthen our power of self-sacrifice for our city and nation's welfare. Teach us to uphold its good name by our own right conduct. Cause us to see clearly that the well-being of our city and our nation is in the hands of all its citizens. Imbue us with a zeal for the cause of liberty in our own land and in all lands, and help us always to keep our homes safe from affliction, strife, and war. Amen.
Please face the flag. Hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the record, there was no closed session seated, so there are no closed session announcements.
Thank you. This evening, we do not have any proclamations or special presentations. So may we have our city clerk present the agenda to council and any revisions to the agenda?
The City Council of the City of Victorville welcomes the public's participation in tonight's meeting. Persons who wish to address the council on a specific item or any item that does not appear on the agenda are requested to complete one of the white speaker cards located in the council chambers lobby and give it to the city clerk prior to the meeting. The mayor will call upon each individual who has submitted a speaker card. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.3, state law prohibits the council from addressing any issue not previously included on the agenda. The council may receive testimony and set the matter to a subsequent meeting. Comments made during the public hearings, written communications, or public comment sections of the agenda are to be limited to 3 minutes per speaker or less, as deemed necessary by the mayor. Communications are to be addressed directly to the city council. Individual comments to staff or members of the audience are not permitted. Any person or group who interferes with the conduct of a city council meeting by willfully interrupting and or disrupting the meeting is subject to removal. A peace officer may be requested to assist with removal should any person or group fail to comply with an order of removal by the council. Any person or group who resists removal by a peace officer is subject to arrest and prosecution pursuant to California Government Code Section 54957.9, Penal Code Section 403. All documents to be considered for approval at this meeting are before the council. Following are 2 revisions that have been submitted for tonight's agenda. The first revision is to item number B2, is changing the funding source to reflect Measure I, Fund 250, as the only funding source for the 2018 square mile pavement rehabilitation project. And there's an addition correction to agenda item number D1. 2 additional corrections were made to ensure consistency with the following change as noted on page 2 of the staff report. 2 additional corrections required to maintain consistency are as follows. The word 5 was changed to the word 3. And the word in numerical expression 5 was changed to 3, section 2.p of chapter 5. Those are all the provisions I have, Your Mayor.
Thank you. This evening, we do not have any appeal hearings. Therefore, we will go right into public hearings. So item B1, a public hearing to hear arguments for and against amending the Victorville Municipal Code to increase the city manager's purchasing and contracting authority, revise related bidding thresholds, and update various provisions of the city's purchasing system. Madam Clerk, please be a recommendation.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Victorville, California, amending Chapter 2.28 of the Victorville Municipal Code to increase the city manager's purchasing and contracting authority. The recommendation is reopen the public hearing continuing from August 21st, 2018, take testimony, close the public hearing, introduce ordinance number 2381 for adoption and first reading by title only, and waive further reading in full.
Thank you. At this time, do we have any questions of staff by council members? None? At this time, I open the public hearing. I do not have any speaker cards. Therefore, I close the public hearing. Madam Clerk, read the title of ordinance number 2381.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Victorville, California, amending Chapter 2.28 of the Victorville Municipal Code to increase the city manager's purchasing and contracting authority, revise related bidding thresholds, and update various provisions of the city's purchasing system.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move approval of ordinance 2381 and waive further reading.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kennedy, seconded by Mr. Cox. Any further questions or comments?
Yes, I object as I did on May 1st to increase the city manager's purchasing authority amount and contracting authority to revise any related bidding thresholds to the city's purchasing system. I have received alarming information about this matter affecting potential interested organizations and entities that are not currently seeing an equitable and just participation in the bidding city's process system. The city manager has taken a subjective responsibility to use his discretion not to give the opportunity to many interested entities in doing business with the city and only allowing the centralized, bureaucratic, institutionalized organizations to do business with the city if loyalties and old establishment negotiations are in trend. I am in dismay to have learned this gatekeeping mechanism so late in the process, and would be remiss if I did not make it a part of today's public hearing that will be a part of tonight's records. In addition, the millions of dollars that have affected our taxpayer base and losing money through a secret tax, because that is what the government did when it authorized the expenses of over $19 million to be drafted from the various city funds to enrich the interested of not only the pockets of the former and current council, but also the conspirators in the city's executive team that work like dirt on a nail bed, have fattened their pockets while fleecing the masses of our electorate system here in the city of Victorville. We cannot continue to be blinded, allowing our bureaucratic leaders to fatten their pockets with monies that they are willingly being held unaccountable for. For these and many other reasons, I object to increasing the city manager's purchasing authority and giving him any revisions to the purchasing systems to accommodate his capricious and untransparent discretionary ego trips of power limited authority.
Madam Mayor, I asked for this to be on the agenda, and I'm glad we have the ordinance before us. And I'm in favor of it not because I happen to trust the city manager, and I do. Have a lot of experience with him, and I do trust him. That's not what this is about. I'm in favor of this ordinance change because I trust our process. And it's the process that we all should rely on. The process of initiating spending decisions, going through the approval process through departments, and it's driven by need and by budget authority. Regardless of what the council member has said, the fact is our city manager and all our department heads are held accountable for how they spend. What I believe is the city council adds nothing of value by participating in the final approval of an item that falls between $25,000 and $50,000. If we don't know and understand our purchasing systems, how they work, and rely on those systems, then us sitting up here hoping that we'll pick out the right $25,000 item to turn down and approve the others is just, it's a mindless hope. That's not the solution. What this does is it gives the city manager the authority to approve up to $50,000 after the transaction's gone through the entire process. I think it's consistent with other cities. I'm not even sure 50,000 is high enough. Perhaps it should be higher, but we're doubling it from 25 to 50. Mr. Cox can probably give you some history of why it's at 25 to begin with, but all that said, I think this is a completely appropriate way to assign authority and accountability exactly where it ought to be. And so I'm in favor of this order.
Mayor, at any time it's brought to the city council's attention that there's abuse by anyone, from purchasing, finance, city manager, whatever, this can be changed. But I listen very carefully to a council member make some very, very serious charges. And at the end of this meeting, I'm going to ask that the copy made of those charges and refer those both to the grand jury and the district attorney and have them investigated. When you make those kind of charges, you have to be responsible for backing them up. And there's no backup, no proof, no data, just salacious charges that need to be looked at because I think the public demands that.
As a point of order, Mr. Cox, you would have to be referring to the city attorney and the city manager's office. That those types of requests, according to our policy, are out of our order. That is a point of privilege, no. So it's for the record.
We call for the question.
Motion by Mr. Kennedy, seconded by Mr. Cox. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries with Ms. Gomez voting no.
Now we move on to item A2, a public hearing to hear arguments for and against a notice of exemption and award of construction contract for the 2018 Square Mile Pavement Rehabilitation Project. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
That the City Council approve the notice of exemption, award of construction contract to American Asphalt South in the amount of $1,019,531.20 for the 2018 Square Mile Rehabilitation Project.
Thank you. At this time, are there any questions by our staff, by council members? None? I open the public hearing. I do not have any speaker cards. I close the public hearing. At this time, I request a motion.
I so move.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cox, seconded by Mr. Kennedy. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Now we move on to consent calendar. Consent calendar items C1 through C3 can be approved with one motion unless there is an item that needs to be pulled for discussion.
Yes, I need to pull item C2 for a comment.
Madam Mayor, move C1 and C3 for approval.
Second.
So Mr. Romero stated that he did not come to comment because he was in opposition. The word opposition shows up, and I believe it was the city clerk that added that, to any code amendments, but instead to inquire about the subject matter. And I ask that this subjective opinion is recorded, that is recorded in our minutes, be redacted to clarify the intent of the public speaker, Mr. Ramiro, not the perspective of the producer of the minutes.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to do a substitute motion and move the consent calendar for approval.
Second.
And I'm doing a sub-motion to alter the word opposition. He was not in opposition, he was merely inquiring, and that's my substitute motion.
Motion by Ms. Gomez. Is there a second? There being no second, the motion dies. Mr. Negretti motioned. Is there a second?
I second.
Motion by Mr. Negretti, seconded by Mr. Cox. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries with Ms. Williams voting no.
Now we move on to written communications. Adopting revisions to the City of Victorville City Council Policy and Procedures Manual. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
That the City Council review and consider the proposed revised City Council Policy and Procedures Manual and adopt resolution number 18-074.
Thank you. Are there any questions of staff by council members?
Yes. How many informal and formal meetings did you have with any one or group of council members to discuss this item? And did you discuss the changes before or after with any executive staff? If so, who was involved?
I'm going to assume that question is to me since we prepared this, and no, I don't recall having any discussions on these issues other than the direction given to go through a review and streamline the process back on the council meeting of, I believe it was June 19th. And other than transmitting drafts to all the council members in mid-August, we just made some additional revisions from our view. Did have some discussions with the city clerk on some of the concerns and issues that are in the policy manual.
So for clarification, you didn't have any meetings with any council members, individually, formal or informal, including executive staff, with the exception of the city clerk, Mrs. Robinson.
Other than the fact that we were given direction to revise the manual, no, I don't recall having any meetings with any council members on what went into the revisions.
With the exception of a city clerk, Mrs.
I might
Robinson,
have had some discussions with the city manager, but that was it.
and the city manager. Thank you for the clarification.
Any other questions?
No more.
I do have some speaker cards. Jim Lindenberg, and after Jim, Ramiro Rodriguez.
I'm Jim Lindenberg. Thank you, Madam Mayor and council members. My concern on this is, it's really sad when we put a manual like this together with something that's so common sense. I just don't understand it. But my biggest concern is at the last meeting, when a council member was speaking Spanish, I could not understand what was being said. As part of the city charter or the ordinance, if I speak Spanish and I want to speak to you, I have to be provided with an interpreter. I would think that the same would revert to the city council. And that's in the Brown Act as far as me being provided an interpreter. but it doesn't really talk about it the other way around, but I would think that would be some clarification we could put in this manual. And I think I'm due a transcript of what was said last week, or last 2 weeks. I don't know what was said. Was she talking bad about the people in the audience? Was she talking bad about Mr. Kennedy? Don't know what she was saying. I find that really upsetting. And I don't get up here unless I'm really upset. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ramiro Rodriguez.
Hello, good afternoon. I was reading through the backup materials of D1, and it states that the proposition is to have everybody sworn in when they're coming up here to speak. That was my interpretation. And also, we're going to be subpoenaed also of what we say. That's what I read into it. So that really, in the future, that everybody has to be ID'd, so that eliminates a lot of people that are exactly homeless who wouldn't be able to come here and speak. I think the rules of order are already, they've been practiced for hundreds of years, and I don't see why the city has to modify them and to have somebody sworn in to come up here and give their opinion of what's going on, and also be subjected to have a subpoena served on them, what they say. Thank you.
Andre, is there anything in this policy manual that could be interpreted the way that speaker just interpreted it?
No, I certainly wouldn't interpret that way. That's an incorrect interpretation of the policy manual. The city does have very limited subpoena powers in connection with if there was a criminal hearing or something like that. So there are provisions in the manual that would allow for a subpoena and declarations under only those very, very limited circumstances. In my 20 years of representing up here, I've never even had that occur, but it's typically in most policy manuals that was in the municipal code previously.
We've asked people to fill out cards. We've never asked anybody to swear anything.
That's not
We've listened to a little swearing, but
Mr. Ramiro's interpretations
and we, to my knowledge, we have never restricted anybody's right to say anything they wanted to say.
And that would
Suppose
probably be
within some tolerable boundaries.
that would be a violation of the Brown Act.
Maggie Martin.
I think that was worth clarifying. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Your Honor, Council. First of all, let me say thank you for 98 pages of revisions. I'm looking at it on my cell phone. All I needed to do was read the first 15 pages. It was not rocket science to me to figure out the necessity for the reason why, because it's sitting on the dais. And I do want to say, so I do appreciate that. And I do want to say to Ms. Gomez, I will tell you this, I will be testifying under oath, Ms. Gomez.
As your point of order, you need to address the entire council or your violation of the policy. You're out of order. No, you're out of order, ma'am. You need to follow the policy that we've adopted twice.
You should try that yourself. So since she has a problem since I've addressed her by name, I'll address you by name, Your Honor. Mayor Garcia, I want to let you know that when her perjury trial comes around, I will have no problem testifying to it under oath or any proceeding connected to that in this council. Thank you.
Thank you.
As a point of order, all remarks shall be addressed to the council as a whole and not to any member thereof, and no questions shall be asked of a council member or the member of the city staff or member of the audience without permission of the presiding officer. That would be in violation of Chapter 5, the Section 3rd of A1. That's for the record. Thank you.
Now we move on. I do not have any more speaker cards. So, can I have a motion, please?
I move approval of item D1, revisions to the council policy manual.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kennedy, seconded by Mr. Negretti. Any further questions or comments?
Yes, so for clarification, the city is setting up a legal censure to bring to any member that comes out of not being in line with the majority of the status quo. The ambiguities that the city attorney is addressing happen to be those moments when accountability is closer to keeping our city council accountable to the residents of this city. such as a public hearing, where there was no time limits at one point. The use of parliamentary procedures when the presiding officer would like to usurp the voice of others who are using their public time to speak, and the use of the council's putting contextual limitations on any discussions that are covered under the First Amendment, among other institutionalized systems that this city has used its bureaucratic, I know you're gonna make fun of me, so no big deal. Thank you, Maggie. Bureaucratic, centralization of government in favor of loyalties, hierarchies, and seniorities, rather than allowing the natural flow of its residents to use their public speaking time to address issues of concerns that are affecting large populations and sections of our marginalized communities. What we really need to be looking at here is about the disabling of the charter. I believe that the city attorney has been making enough money here. Another topic is the golf course and the enterprise fund that was done right before our noses. I want to let the public know that in 2008, the city changed to a city charter. This is very reminiscent of the city of Bell. The city attorney has made exuberant amount of money with these types of moves. If you recall, the corruption charges of the city of Bell was slapped with the right hand in 2011. I wonder if the city attorney has any connections to anyone in the city of Bell. Does Jim Cox, Jim Kennedy, or the city managers have any connections to the corruption that took place in the city of Bell? If anybody recalls, Robert Rizzo was the city manager of the city of Hesperia. And so that's the ring around the rosy. Buried skeletons are asking to be released from their imprisoned state of mismanagement fiscal monies. No city staff has to be able to provide reasons as to why the city decided to become a charter city. However, if California law is silent on it, we have municipal affair that we go over. We, the city, have a lot of discretion over many fiscal, public, and safety concerns that affect you and me, wherever we're serving. With our history of incorporation since '62, now we can see how Mr. Cox continues to monitor all aspects, along with longstanding Mayor Council Terry Caldwell, along with the lineage of establishment of intense fear-mongering types of attitudes if you do not conform. So you can see how Terry Caldwell represented Maggie Lowe, also known as Maggie Martin.
Madam Mayor, I have to say, I think in 55 years on this council, I don't think any council has ever spent the amount of time we have spent on our policy manual in an attempt to draw the boundaries of appropriate behavior by council members. But we have been forced to do that, and I think we've done it. I think the city attorney's done a good job, and we have a motion to approve. Yeah,
I think Jim has something to say.
No, it's just, I have no idea why Bell has anything to do with anything. I don't know anyone in the city, or the staff, or anything has anything, or knows anything, but it sure sounds interesting just to throw out all charges. This is not the place to go. Call for the vote, please.
Motion by Mr. Kennedy, seconded by Mr. Negretti. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries with Ms. Gomez voting no.
Item D2, assignment of a representative and an alternate to the Interagency Council of Homelessness. Madam Clerk, with your recommendation.
That the city council assign a representative and alternate to the Interagency Council on Homelessness.
Are there any questions of staff, from council members at this time?
Yes. What compensations, roles, purposes, and reporting back duties will the designee be receiving, whether it be a council member or a designee?
Who are you asking?
Staff would have to ask that.
Yeah, but city manager.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, I believe that's covered in their bylaws for the organization. As far as compensation, I'm not aware of compensation to the appointed member. Certainly that's something we can confirm, but I'm not aware of that. The position is in a policy-making capacity as a board representative. compensation. If so directed on appointment, I certainly believe it would be appropriate for whomever that appointed individual or individuals are, be required. I think that'd be good to have them be required to report back to the council on a regular basis.
No further questions?
We need to appoint,
Do we need to appoint, or are you going to be our representative?
well, I prefer to have Keith and Soph, if I may, make that motion. Even, our city manager and, Sophie.
So, Madam Mayor and members of the council, the item is asking for an appointment to serve as the city's representative on the Interagency Council on Homelessness. That's the policy-making body overseeing the county's 10-year strategy to end homelessness. And of course, there are two affiliated organizations with the ICH, which is the San Bernardino County Homeless Partnership and the Continuum of Care. And the Continuum of Care, as an example, is an extended part of their policy-making efforts, where they actually receive funding from HUD to actually use that funding towards helping resolve homeless issues in the county of San Bernardino. Of course, because Victorville was identified as having such a large homeless population, and because we've been working and doing as much as we can, given the limited resources that we have as a city, also working very closely with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. We've been working on trying to help resolve some of the homelessness issues that we're dealing with. But certainly as this opportunity has come up, we have applied, and that was the application that you see in the attached documents where we applied, and we were approved by the ICH to have a board seat. Their rules, their governing documents call for or find eligible either an elected member of the city or an appointed member of the staff. So it could either be an elected council person, or it could be city manager, executive level staff, or even department heads.
It doesn't have to be a council member.
Does not have to be a council member.
It seems like you and Sophie have been doing all the work in this area. Why wouldn't we just appoint you as our representative?
Certainly,
Is there some reason not to?
I can't think of a reason not to. Certainly, both myself and Sophie in the divisions that we oversee, certainly we don't do all the work. We definitely have teams that we rely on to help us. Certainly, it's a subject matter that we've been taking very seriously lately, and certainly this opportunity allows us to be a little bit closer to the table or at the table as it relates to any other funding opportunities that could come about.
Well, I'll make a motion to appoint you as a representative and Sophie as the alternate to the Interagency Council on Homelessness.
Second.
Is there any speaker cards? I'm looking, I believe I have one here. I do have one. April Piston.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. The homelessness situation is pretty bad in Victorville. But what I would like to know is, rather than just have this interagency council, what is being done about some of these homes that are vacant, and the homeless people are breaking into these homes and squatting on the property, and then when the neighbors call, the deputies show up and say, well, there's nothing we can do because we don't know who owns this property and whether they should be there or not. Well, it stands to reason that if they belong there, then the landlord or the property owner would give them a key and they'd not have them crawl through the back window. And one of my issues with the city of Victorville is I put my house up on the market and I'm seriously thinking about moving out. Because it's just gotten to be, you know, a hellhole. And when I come up here to speak, yes, I understand that I have 3 minutes, but last week was such a goat rope, and I was so rudely interrupted so many times. I just want to know, why isn't the city of Victorville proactive instead of reactive? And why, when we know, the neighbor knows that those people do not belong there, the police officers come to the door and shrug their shoulders and say, and I'm pro-officer, believe me, but when they come to the door and they say, there's nothing we can do, we don't know who owns the property. And so I would just like to see the city of Victorville become more proactive instead of reactive. After it becomes a house where there's a body buried in cement in a trash can. That's all I have to say on that matter.
That's the only speaker card that I have.
I have a motion by Mr. Kennedy, seconded by Mr. Negretti. Any further questions or comments?
Oh, comment.
Go ahead, Jim.
I was asked at the city council's conference in Lake Arrowhead to give a presentation regarding the homeless issue, and I was actually surprised in preparing that, the involvement of our staff with the county staff. And so I agree very much with the two individuals that can represent the city on that. They've been working on this for a long time, working with the county for permanent housing. And also, the staff is extremely involved in the homeless issue, doing what they can. It is a mess out there. And I have called the police department a couple times regarding some homeless and housing, and they have responded and kicked the people out. So I'm not sure. I will talk to you after the meeting because I'm not, that isn't the response that I've gotten, and that isn't the response that our code enforcement officers are getting. So we're missing something, but we want to make sure they get the right answer. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, it's very interesting, Mr. Cost, that you would say that staff has been working for a very long time, probably 3-4 months, a long time. I came in almost over 20 months ago, and this is what I encountered. So I received a reply after applying for the ICH, the same position that staff was being appointed today, because staff was not involved in ICH. As a matter of fact, one of the individuals that was said that was supposedly attending was not attending, and that came to light in one of these meetings where I said, why is the individual not attending? Because there's not enough money. So I beg to differ, Mr. Cox, that staff has been for a very long time working with ICH or with the county in regards to homelessness, in particular with this particular building, this organization that we're talking about. So I have an email, and I'm just going to read it just to give you some context. And it was on the morning of November 25th, 2017, that I applied as a member of at large when the application process was open. Here's what I sent to them. I'm submitting my application to the ICH board for consideration to becoming a member at large. I've attached the application to this email communication. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions, concerns, or any comments. My contact phone number is 760-912-3190. Then I received a reply on November 28, 2017 from them stating the following. All of the applications received will go to the committee for review next week. Once they have reviewed them and discussed them, they will make a recommendation and present it to ICH at the January 24th meeting, 2018. So you should receive notice one way or another around the same time frame. All this to say that although I do not count to 3, we the community have put enough pressure behind the scenes to force that hand of that man behind the curtains, so to speak, of the city of Victorville. Think of the analogy of the wizard, or the direction of those elephants and dinosaurs that are trying to stop veering in the right path, even those sheep that need to be directed. Thank you.
And Mayor, I have a couple of comments. First of all, I'd like to thank city staff
the work that they do. And homelessness is a serious issue. But as usual, it's very complicated. And no matter what the city does, I don't know where people are from, what you're used to. This is not a large city. Nothing happens without funding. We have a great partnership with the County of San Bernardino, and we combined our resources, limited resources for both, on the Queens Motel. And I forget how many bedrooms there are there. I think it's 40 or something like that. But instead of, when I highlight that to people in the public sometimes, that's what they focus on. That's just 40. Well, it's not zero. So when it comes to homelessness, the city is not a one-stop shop for answers. We have a whole community of leaders. We have the county, we have other organizations doing a great job, the churches. This is a community problem. So when we have to sit up here, and there was a comment made earlier that we spend a lot of time on the conduct policy. I know it may sound like we've got one member just going around in circles, making accusations, really saying things that are neither here nor there, quite frankly. It's laughable. But in the meantime, what you may not realize is every meeting we're still doing the business of the city. And Keith and Sophie are doing a fantastic job, so is the rest of the staff. So whether it's homelessness or bring up any issue you like, no matter what we do, it's never going to be enough for some people, and that's okay. And people say, well, you guys, we're concerned. We lost confidence in the city because of one member that makes accusations on every item, and not just one meeting, every meeting since December of 2016. So I know what it might look like, but when we approve this item, we will have taken another step to do something about homelessness. And a lot of other cities can't say that. I would challenge a lot of other cities to do what we've done. And unfortunately, we're right by the freeway, so that you got services and you also got the need. So when we approve this right now, like we do for a lot of things, 4-1, let's just be clear. We are doing the business of the city. We are serving the community with the limited resources we have. So we are not a one-stop shop for answers, and I would welcome a lot more community involvement to solve answers.
Motion by Mr. Kennedy, seconded by Mr. Negretti. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
I have a sub-motion that I'd like to put on the table. We have a department head individual who I was told by another entity, the network, that has recently started attending the ICH meetings, whether it's been a month or two. Why isn't that person being the one that continues to go to those meetings? I don't want to name the persons because I don't want people to feel offended. But that's my motion, that the same person that has been going for the last 2 months that I was told was attending, that should continue to attend.
Is there a second? There being no second, that motion dies. Original motion by Mr. Kennedy, seconded by Mr. Negretti. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries with Ms. Gomez voting no.
Now we move on to item D3, award to purchase one cargo van for the Victorville Water District. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
That the City Council and the Victorville Water District Board of Directors approve the award to purchase one cargo van under project number CC 19-020.
Thank you. Any questions of staff?
Yes, so this bid, was it Reynolds Buick who received it? Staff can feel free to respond, it was a yes or no, it's not implicit, so there's an assumption that I'm making based on the bidding amounts. The lowest is Reynolds Buick, so I'm assuming that that's who won the bid.
Correct.
Okay, thank you, no further questions.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cox, seconded by Mr. Kennedy. Any further questions or comments?
I do not have any speaker cards either.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Now we move on to item D4.
For the record, Mr. DeGray was not part of that vote, so it was unanimous for the 4 members present.
Item D4, grant acceptance and budget appropriation for bilingual books funding administered through the California State Library. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
That the Library Board of Trustees accept the grant and approve the associated budget appropriations for the bilingual books funding opportunity awarded to the Victorville City Library by the California State Library in the amount of $7,500.
Thank you. Questions of staff by council members?
Yes. A brief history of the library, its patrons, please, that incorporates the following questions. I don't know if Janelle, you're going to be approaching that, but it's a couple of questions. What is the percentage of children/parents who visit the library on a monthly basis approximately? What prompted the search and the unmet needs to supply the books in different languages? And how did staff come about knowing this at this particular time? And since when has the library, what's its inception till now?
Okay, the first question, I'm not going to have that data with me today, but I can certainly get back to you on that. The second question, we did pull some census data and assess the percentage of our population that speaks a language other than English. So that was determined to be 34.5%. And primarily the requests that come through the library are for Spanish to English, English to Spanish. And as you can see in the staff report, we have some figures there about our total collection. And the Spanish print collection represented a very low portion. It was only 2% of the children's collection. So being that this grant was limited to the languages listed in the staff report, we opted to proceed with the Spanish print. We were able to secure 455 books, which nearly doubled the amount of books that we had for bilingual English to Spanish. And I'm sorry, can you repeat the third question?
And then some history about the library. I know it's not county-based, so all that comes into contextualizing what we're doing today. That seems to me mostly monumental and new, nothing that has been, you're right, 1.69% compared to 98% of any other language being established at a library. So to me, that's huge.
This is definitely progress. In the meantime, we are linked with the county's library circulation system. So if a patron were to request a book in Spanish or any other language that we did not have in our circulation system, we could request to borrow it from the county library system, and you'll actually have another item before you in a couple of months here to review that agreement with the county.
Thank you. No further questions.
Anyone else? No. I do have one speaker card. April Kingston.
I'm not sure if I'm understanding this correctly, and, you know, I've been wrong before, once before, and I'm sure I'll be wrong again before I die. But I'd like to know why the city is willing to spend any money on bilingual books when, as a retired teacher, I know that bilingual education was a colossal failure. And also, it doesn't encourage non-English speaking people to learn to speak English, okay? And anybody with any business acumen knows that English is the language of success and commerce. So I don't understand why this is even being considered. That's all.
Thank you. That was the only speaker card that I have, so can I have a motion?
I so move.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cox, seconded by Mr. Kennedy. Any further questions or comments?
Just one comment. This is funded by a grant from the California State Library.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item D5, amendment to project funding agreement for right-of-way acquisition for Green Tree Boulevard extension project. Madam Clerk, read your recommendation.
That the City Council approve the attached amendment number 3 to the project funding agreement between the San Bernardino County Transportation Authority and the city for a right-of-way acquisition for the Green Tree Boulevard extension project, and to authorize the city attorney to make non-substantive changes to the agreement.
Thank you. Questions of staff by council members? Anyone?
Yes, this Green Tree project item has closely, very much been added to the agenda quite more often than I had seen it when it first came out, and even in closed session now. Would you please provide some content, some information to contextualize until today what steps have been taken and what phase we are in, and when the city anticipates a full-fledged finished Green Tree extension project? And although I've seen every approval of every agenda item, this is a puzzle if you can piece it for me.
Okay, with the current status of the project right now, we're in what we call the design and the right-of-way phases. So the design phase, we are preparing plans for construction. We're preparing specifications and cost estimates. Right now, it's what we call the 95% completion. So the plans are near completion. They're getting close within the next few months of reaching what we call 100%, which would be basically construction-ready plans. That's the design phase. So we're close to completing the design phase. The right-of-way phase, there are 20 parcels that we need to acquire right-of-way from. We've been making good progress on those parcels, but there are still parcels that are where we have not acquired the right-of-way yet. And so it's difficult to predict exactly when the right-of-way phase will be completed, but we're well along in the right-of-way phase. Once the right-of-way phase is completed, the project will basically be ready for construction. However, the construction funding hasn't been secured yet for this project, and that would require a city council approval. The city council did approve what I would call the first step in an agreement for right-of-way funding with the San Bernardino County Transportation Authority. However, that would require a loan because we have a local share that would come from our development impact fees. We don't have the cash now to fund that. So if council wanted to proceed with the construction of the project, they would need to approve what I would call step 2, which would be they would need to adopt a resolution that would agree to terms of a loan. That hasn't happened yet. We don't have the information yet that, for that decision-making process. That will come later, sometime later. We don't know exactly when, which would basically be a decision based on the term and the interest rate of that loan. So it's right now, I can't predict when this project would go to construction because it's largely dependent upon completing the right-of-way phase and also if city council would want to proceed with the project and enter into a loan agreement.
Okay, so I have 2 questions from that. We don't have enough money. I look at federal demonstration grant, SBCT measure, and additional measure I.
The design phase is fully funded. The right-of-way phase, what this item is about, is to request additional right-of-way funds from the San Bernardino County Transportation Authority. That's what this item is about. The funds are there, but we would need to, City Council would need to approve this amendment, and then the SBCTA board would need to approve this amendment to fully fund the right-of-way.
So how much is it going to cost our taxpayers?
The estimate right now is approximately $2.85 million, and we're requesting an additional $850,000
And are we gonna be securing bonds in the future to be able to pay off the 2.85 million? Do you know, is that in the negotiations?
No, bonds would not be necessary for that now. It would only, bond issuance would only be necessary to fund the construction phase.
Okay, and then one last question. We don't leave a message, but who is the name of that person who does the opposite of eminent domain? I know you were gonna go to a workshop, and it has to do with these 20 different properties, but there was a specific name that you provided to us. And I can't find the email, and I thought I could just ask you openly.
I'm not remembering off the top of my head. I'm looking at the report now. Let's see. I would have to get back to you on that.
That's fine. You send me an email with the person's information, the opposite of eminent domain, that's all I'm looking for.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Madam Mayor, just to be clear, the question for Brian, that was not a cost to the taxpayer. We're going to be reimbursed, right?
We will be reimbursed for this, but ultimately, the city's share for this project is 49%, and that ultimately will be paid out of development impact fees.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, it might help the council to understand the global scale or global scope of the financing that would eventually build this project. We're not quite there at what I would call finishing the construction financing, but we're at that stage right now where we're buying the right of way. The concept that is ultimately envisioned is a similar concept that we exercised when we built the La Mesa-Nisqually interchange. And that 49% that Mr. Gangler is talking about, that 49% is going to be measured against the total construction cost, including these right-of-way costs that are the subject of this item. So we will be responsible for the 49% share, and we will rely on development impact fees. In fact, that's obligated of us to use as our matching share for construction of the funds. The remaining portion of the funds will come from San Bernardino CTC's Measure-on funds that are generated from this region, the major local highway improvement funds.
Just an observation, there's been a lot of discussion over the years about whether this Green Tree extension will produce any benefit to the city of Victorville at all. It certainly will be valuable to the folks in that valley who are looking for another route to the freeway. All that said, doesn't matter, we're moving down this path, the train's left the station. But I heard a remarkable statement, I think it was at the meeting last week, that the folks who live in the Green Tree development are going to reap an enormous economic benefit by the increase in property values as a result of all this additional traffic that will now flow down Green Tree Boulevard. It's an amazing remark. I've never heard anything like it. In fact, I live in Green Tree, and I've spoken to a lot of people that live in Green Tree, and I don't know anybody in Green Tree who wants to see that traffic flow down Green Tree Boulevard and make an even bigger nightmare congestion at 7th and Green Tree than what we have now. Personally, my wish all along has been that we will divert that traffic as it comes over the bridge from Apple Valley south on Hesperia Road to Nisqually and move it all to the freeway from Nisqually, which makes all the sense in the world given the planning that the previous council's done in building and developing Nisqually. Brian, is there anything in any of the studies, any of the work you've done to suggest that anybody in the Green Tree area is going to reap some benefit out of the traffic flowing down Green Tree Boulevard?
That wasn't in any of the studies that were performed for this project. We normally don't do those kind of studies. It's normally just the studies that are required from the environmental document. There were traffic studies done, but nothing related to the property values themselves or the after effects. affect it. Were you talking about property values?
Yeah, do you believe that most of that traffic will flow to Nisqually? Is that a reasonable expectation?
Well, the traffic study showed an increase on to Nisqually, yes. It did show some increase to Green Tree as well, existing Green Tree. It showed a reduction on Bear Valley Road and a reduction on Highway 18 on D Street, but it did show some increase on Green Tree itself, the existing Green Tree.
Thank you.
I have a question. Since we're talking about Green Tree Boulevard, I mean, I'm not saying that it's 500 to 600 feet. Do we need recusal of 2 council members that live somewhere near, and this is big enough where there's no need for recusal?
No, these properties and this project is east of Hesperia Road, and I don't believe anybody's got any property interest close to that.
Thank you. And then to bring it back to the finances, the 49%, that the city share will be approximately $2.85 million. Since partial of the 49% will come from development fees, is all that stated, how much will it end us costing? Because $2.85 million is just an average ballpark, because I'm assuming there's going to be, whether it's 5 to 10 years before we pay it off, it's going to be a much more exuberant amount. Is that accurate?
Well, our share is 49%, that is our local share, but this right-of-way phase is not being funded out of bonds or interest in that respect. I can't predict how long it's going to take us to collect our development impact fees, if that's what you're asking. That really is related to development activity. I don't know if that answered your question.
If I might, I'll go ahead and point to page 302 on the agenda item, and I think the question more so is geared towards what is the total project cost. And the total cost, not considering shares, just the total cost, including both construction and right-of-way design, is $45.9 million, rounding $46 million.
I'll make an appointment with you just to talk a little bit more in regards to the finance of it. I'll do that.
That'd be fine.
I do have one, I'm sorry, is there anyone else? I do have on speaker card, April Pinkston.
Hello again. I'm just really curious about the design of the Green Tree project. Okay, because I don't know if anything can be done about the design, you know, because some of these things that I've seen when you look at, what's the word I'm looking for? The plans, you see all these beautiful trees and bushes and this and that and the other thing. And whoever planned the on-ramp to the 15 from Palmdale Road that has all those trees and bushes there, that creates a horrible, horrible blind spot. And I'm just wondering first if something can be done about that, because they should, you know, as it's coming around in a curve, you can't see what's coming on the freeway down that way. And there's been plenty of times that I've been close to getting picked off by a semi. And so I want to know if this next design, not only just about the money and all that, but that whatever they're going to do is that it's not going to be a hindrance with some of this so-called beautification where it causes blind spots for people driving. And so that's all I wanted to address on that, is because, you know, the city in some spots are absolutely beautiful, but it's not going to be great if I'm smashing into a semi while I'm trying to look at the beautiful bushes and trees.
Thank you. That was the only card that I had. Therefore.
For clarification.
Yes. Okay.
Interchange and I-15 and Green Tree, Palmdale Road, all of the jurisdiction of the state of California. The city's not blocking the design or the maintenance of that interchange.
Did you answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, there we go.
Just a follow-up question. Do we have, as a city, do we have any control over the on-ramp and off-ramp? entrance to the freeway regularly, 3 or 4 times a week, and it's dangerous. And it's just because you can't see what's coming. And if there's a way to modify that, if we can make some recommendation to Caltrans, I'd sure like to see that happen.
We can get you an update on that. I could get the update now. Are you talking about the entrance ramp southbound from Palmdale to I-15?
Palmdale Road, southbound on I-15.
Okay.
That's not on the agenda right now, so we should save that for.
We can get you information on that.
And lastly, for the attorney, I'm requesting a submittal to the Fair Political Practice Commission for a legal opinion on that question that I asked in terms of the proximity of 2 council members and the lack of recusal.
I don't have any other speaker cards, therefore, can we have a motion?
Move approval of the item.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kennedy, seconded by Mr. Negretti. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
We move on to item D6. Award of debt policy consulting services agreement and approval of additional budget appropriations. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
That the Board of Directors of the Southern California Logistics Airport Authority approve the award of consulting services agreement to Hunton Andrews Kirk LLP in the not to exceed amount of $185,000 for debt policy consulting services under Project JN 19-031 and adopt resolution number SCLAA 18-006 by approving additional appropriations of $185,000.
Thank you. Questions of staff? Council members?
Yeah, George. $185,000 at $600 an hour is more than 300 hours. At $300 an hour, it's more than 600 hours. Now, I'm guessing their range is somewhere in there. How are they going to spend that kind of time studying our debt policies?
Madam Mayor, City Council, as we went through the process for selecting an independent consultant, we asked the exact same question. And as we went through the process, we had a chance to interview this individual that's representing this firm last Tuesday at conference call in Washington, D.C. And he kind of walked us through his experience in doing this for other agencies, and not that the analysis of reviewing the policy is going to take 300 hours. It's communicating the results with the SEC, it's working with the city on any revisions or adjustments that may be needed. But more or less, it's to make sure he put ample time in the original quote to take it all the way through to final SEC acceptance. And so when he brought that up, and it's an outside estimate, it could be less. He's estimating, does that mean 300 hours? But it could be less than that. He just wanted to make sure that we provided adequate hours in the contract for him to thoroughly vet the entire process through. He's actually, this particular individual also worked on the city side or the agency side, in negotiating with independent consultants as well. So he kind of has an idea of what some consultants may do to bump up the time, and he's fully aware that, and he was able to relay to us that he has no intent of doing so. He just wants to get it done and get this all behind the system, which we do and help us get there. But yes, that is an outside estimate that will include communications with the SEC after he's completed his review.
With what we know about the SEC, that's probably going to be a 200-page report. Enough said. That's enough said.
Anyone else?
Yes. So to contextualize this item to the public, the city spent 5 years defending multiple charges and keeping former council members and current selected council members, including our city manager, off the hook. As a matter of fact, with our city manager, we spent $8.6 million. That's our taxpayer money that works. We've ended up spending $19.6 million. That's more of your taxpayer dollars which is very important that we have very good accountability of how we're spending our dollars. If this contract is pending approval by the SEC, why aren't we approving it in the next agenda?
March 29th. So when you work backwards from that start date, there's a variety of tasks that need to take place, and hiring personnel and clearing personnel and training personnel are all part of that preparation to take over on March 29th. As you know, we've already secured our chief. Our division chief has been hired and sworn in front of this audience. We have 2 battalion chiefs and a training officer, and the 3rd battalion chief coming just behind them in the next coming weeks. And then we're testing these folks, as I mentioned before, the captains, engineer, and firefighter paramedics, so that they will all start no later than January, the first week of January, so that they can train from January to March, so that we're prepared for the March 29th date. I don't understand the context of not doing any of this till March 29th. The idea is that everybody's here, hired, and trained, ready to go by March 29th.
Yes, so just to give you some context, there's a reason why I asked for this. Since we knew our contract of 10 years with the county would have ended on the 10th year, and we already knew about that even when you came and were hired, I'm just thinking our staff is really good, and they're experts in pre-planning stuff, especially when it comes to taxpayer money and savings. We don't want to do everything so much in a hurry where we get sole source. And what does that mean? You know, we end up spending more money because we have to go with a particular manufacturer. That's the analogy I'm giving you. And so I was just thinking ahead, you know, why didn't we have these in the early preparations of the stages? Or was this just something, you know, was kind of like just thrown at us and, oh, we got to work with what we have now?
No, the hiring of this particular firm was thought of during the original plan. The timing of it is right on schedule to how the plan was designed. Yes, we have known about the contract expiring, and we've negotiated a start date with the county by way of our 9-month extension that terminates on March 29th. There are some benefits of actually working a schedule at times appropriately when you're balancing the cost of personnel starting before their start date. If you do it too early, then you're spending too much money. If you do it too late, then your folks are not prepared. And so there's been quite a bit of work that has gone into the planning and the establishment of the schedule that we're following. Ergometrics was actually not a last minute contract that we thought of. It was actually part of the original plan. And so we have not varied from that original plan.
Okay. So thank you for that information. So just as stewards of our taxpayers' hard-earned money, I would be remiss if I didn't place these concerns for the record. Thank you.
Anyone else? No? I do not have any speaker cards, so therefore, we need a motion.
Move approval of D7. Second.
Motion by Mr. Kennedy, seconded by Mr. Cox. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Item D8, contract for dispatch services for the Victorville Fire Department. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
That the City Council approve a 5-year contract with Fire, the Joint Powers Authority for contract dispatch services.
Thank you. Questions of staff?
Yes. So it's been quite a while, 10 years now, a decade since we've had our own department for fire. So I was looking at, we're gonna have a lot of, whether they're JPAs, Joint Power Associations, or any negotiations with the extensions of Fire and any other individual entities. Would you please express how all these entities coming together are going to do the best service if any resident were to call a fire station, rather than what we've had in the past and what we're used to seeing?
So Fire, when we first started, we identified back in June with an update to the City Council of what the two major, I would call them hurdles that we would have to cross to be able to rely upon having a successful organization be established on March 29th. The first one was securing a 9-month contract extension with the county fire department, which we were able to secure and have approved in June. The second one was acquiring a contract or service agreement with the Confire JPA, who provides dispatch services to a variety of agencies down the hill and mainly up the hill in our valley, County Fire, Town of Apple Valley, and now with this contract ourselves. The importance of going with Confire was mainly from the standpoint of expediency. Confire currently dispatches for fire services in the city of Victorville as they have for the last 10 years through the contract with County Fire. So as far as establishing all of the information that needs to be compiled for somebody to adequately provide their dispatch services, all that information is already with Confire. So it makes it a relatively turnkey operation. We just switched on March 29th who to send the bill to for those services. They will ship it from County Fire to the city of Victorville. And so, as far as expediency, they were the best option for us. Namely, the other reasons I go into in the staff report, but I'll list a few of them now. They are interested in, as they already have a program for emergency medical dispatching, which is priority dispatching, as we described in our original report to the council, as a program we like to implement relatively soon after we take over. Also, they have what's called a vehicle locator system. A lot of the other options that we looked at for dispatch did not have that information. They didn't have that type of technology. Confire does have that technology. So rather than radioing into a station, they're able to actually locate where a unit is on the street using the locator system to be able to dispatch the closest resource appropriately. And Confire possessed that technology where some other agencies did not possess that technology. And so the first thing we mentioned, Councilmember Gomez, is how long this is taking. So our original letter went to the Confire executive director in February requesting service. So immediately after the council took the action to move forward with City Fire, me and my team sent a letter out to Confire requesting service. It has taken until just last Tuesday to get a vote, and we're very grateful and very thankful of that Confire board for eventually supporting our contract. Before you tonight is a 5-year contract with Confire as a contract agency. There are 6 joint powered members, and that those 6 members consist of the County of San Bernardino, the cities of Rancho Cucamonga, Rialto, Loma Linda, Colton, and Redlands. Each one of those cities had a voting board member that take action on these types of requests. We received a vote of 4-2 in support of us having a contract, which is something that we've worked really hard on for the last 6 months to arrive at. So with that, before you is a contract that will take place, that will begin March 29th. So the annualized amount is listed in your staff report. The cost for the quarter, so the April timeframe through June, is listed in the staff report. That was budgeted. We actually budgeted that amount at $284. The amount actually came in at $256,000, so it actually came in a little bit cheaper as a result of the city of Chino Valley joining as a contract member at the same time and helping to smooth the cost out. Available to answer any further questions.
Yes, so our relationship with Hardwick has been severed or neutral, or we're still friendly with them?
As far as I know, we're going
Okay, because I have,
secured a 9-month contract for extended service, and despite him voting against us on the Confire board, I think that we still have cordial conversations with Chief Hardwick.
okay, and then, just under 15 million is what it's been costing the city of Victorville for fire. Approximately after everything is laid out in trends, how much are we looking at our own city department? I'm not talking about the initial cost, because you've expressed that, but approximately.
Our annualized cost will be about $1.5 to $2 million savings annually.
So how much are we gonna be spending, 13 million?
12.5 to 13.
Thank you, no further questions.
George, I just wanted to express my appreciation for the work you've done on this. It's been long and difficult, especially with the county fire chief opposing this every step of the way. Even after agreeing to a
contract, contract resolution with the city, still opposed to some dispatching service. Never made any sense to me. But it's been a long, difficult, arduous task, and you handled it well, and I thank you for the good job you did.
I do have one speaker card. I do have one speaker card, Deanne Hutchins.
Just want to let you know my comments were written before Mr. Kennedy made his comments. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. I'd like to thank the staff for your hard work in bringing this contract before the board for approval to continue the progress of establishing Victorville City Fire. I'm certain this has been a big challenge. It has been accomplished in spite of County Fire's attempt to block and sabotage this approved department for our city. County Fire's actions are despicable, attempting to circumvent the decision of our city council. Could it be possible that the County Fire sees Victorville as a cash cow to finance their huge deficit? Again, thank you for all your diligent work in moving this progress forward, and I'm looking forward to March 29th, 2019. Thank you.
Thank you. That was the only speaker card that I had. Therefore, we need a motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cox, seconded by Mr. Kennedy. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
We now move on to public comments. Would you want to read the statement before I start public comments?
Sure. This is the time and place for the general public to address the city council on any item listed or not listed on the agenda. Per Government Code Section 54954.3, state law prohibits the council from addressing any issue not previously included on the agenda. The council may receive testimony and set the matter to a subsequent meeting. Comments are to be limited to 3 minutes per individual or less, as deemed necessary by the mayor, depending upon the number of individuals desiring to speak. All communications are to be addressed directly to the council, not the members of the audience. This is a professional business meeting, and courtesy and decorum are expected. Please refrain from any debate between audience and speaker, making loud noises, or engaging in any activity which might be disruptive to the decorum of the meeting. Any person or group who interferes with the conduct of a city council meeting by willfully interrupting and/or disrupting the meeting is subject to removal. A peace officer may be requested to assist with the removal should any person or group fail to comply with an order of removal by the council. Any person or group who resists removal by a peace officer is subject to arrest and prosecution pursuant to California Government Code Section 54957.9, Penal Code Section 403.
Thank you. The first speaker card that I have is Robin Feinstein, and after Robin, Raul Rodriguez.
My name's Robin Vidston, and I just wanted to follow up with an editorial from the Daily Press regarding the previous city council meeting. This is their analysis. It's from the Daily Press editorial board, and it's called "Gomez Has Gone Too Far." Just when you think you've seen everything, Victorville City Councilwoman Blanca Gomez continues to prove you wrong. She has shown up and created spectacles at events throughout the Inland Empire. She shot live video without permission of the family at the funeral service of former Hesperia Mayor Russ Blewett. She seemingly dared a sheriff's deputy to arrest her at the Hesperia City Hall, grinning throughout. And she alternately laughs, lies, and cries on Facebook Live. And I will just point out Some of the videos she puts on their live, she then removes. Gomez's colleagues issued a public statement of disapproval of her actions on Tuesday night, the actions in question being her arrest on suspicion of trespassing and obstructing an officer at the Hesperia City Hall a few weeks ago. And I would just like to say my analysis of the City Council is that they've been very patient and worked with Blanca Gomez. So I do not find the fault with the other City Council members on this issue. Though symbolic and lacking any real impact, the decision of Councilman Jim Kennedy, Jim Cox, and Eric Negretti, as well as Mayor Gloria Garcia, to rebuke Gomez was indeed justified. Then Gomez left the stage at one point Tuesday night to retrieve a banner of the Virgin of Guadalupe, which she draped over herself and wore the rest of the City Council meeting. We're not entirely sure what this was meant to prove. Was she trying to make a mockery of the meeting? Was she merely trying to make light of the seriousness of the council censor? We are not amused by her actions, and Victorville residents shouldn't be either. She has gone too far. It would be best for all if she would simply go. Again, this is an editorial.
We have 30 seconds.
And I would want to share this with the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Raul Rodriguez, and then Deanne.
Okay, City Attorney, Mayor Gomez, or Mayor Garcia, I'd like to bring this to your attention. She is in violation of the Brown Act by recording this meeting. That is a clear violation. If that isn't your recording device or the city's recording device, it's probably hers. So therefore, she is in violation of the Brown Act. And you, as a city attorney and the mayor, should do something about that. If you don't, I will file a complaint with the district attorney in Los Angeles. This sign says Blanca Gomez resigned. This one says, did Gomez commit perjury? We might not have to have her resign because she might end up behind bars for perjury, which would be a great idea if she did. This way, you wouldn't have to bother with her, and she'll be locked up behind bars, maybe with Hillary. That'd be a great idea. Anyway, I'd like to say that, there's a lot of ways that we can solve the problem, the homeless problem in America. Stop helping illegals, deport them all. They're in this country illegally. They don't deserve any benefits at all. Our Constitution only gives benefits to legal citizens, American citizens, those that have gone through the system. Therefore, we shouldn't be giving them any benefits. No education, no medical, no EBT cards, nothing. That's one way to solve the problem. And our homeless, it shouldn't be happening in this country. This is America. We are one of the richest countries in the world. Why is there so many people in the streets? Veterans. You got homeless out there. It's just unbelievable the things that they had to go through. And we got to blame all the politicians on the local, state, and the federal level because they
You have 30
have.
seconds.
Pardon me?
You have 30 seconds.
Okay. So we should blame the politicians who don't want to do anything about that. And it's mostly the Democrats. Now I call them Demo-rats. And the reason why I refer to them as rats is because they're radical, anti-Trump socialists. And we need to put a stop to these people, stop electing these politicians, and start electing people that are going to work for the American people. Thank you.
Deanne, and after Deanne, Sheriff Rachel. Deanne.
name is Deanne Delaney. E-A-N is Dean, phonetically in English language. Thank you. I say the city council is doing a wonderful job, except of course one person, and that's why they're holding this sign. Last week I read a letter for the city council. Several weeks ago, I forgot how many weeks ago, I had the same letter and entered it, gave it to the city clerk to give to the city council. And it has to do with SB 54. Many cities around you are jumping on the bandwagon and voting to not censor the governor, who is betraying his fathers in a big way, betraying his fathers. It wasn't his father's law, but he signed it into for the state of California. And this law has a lot to do with SB 54 because the governor now is trying to break that law plus the Brown Act. And that's what his father signed into law in 1953. When will you bring SB 54 to the attention of the people and do a vote on it? All the other cities around have been very courageous. The governor cannot sue you if you go ahead and go with everybody else. We are shaming our city and for the other cities when we do not stay with them. How many more reminders does the city council need? I put down the letter, but there's a lot of people who would like to put the same letter in. I do not know how many letters you need in order to bring this up. I hope you do bring it up. And we'll probably have 30 seconds. I see it thinking. Thank you for your listening, and God bless the city council, and God bless America.
Now, I cannot make out the first name, but Cordova.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, city manager, and Ruth. Cordova. I was going to introduce myself. I had a whole different spiel, but when I start hearing the talks about the sheriff's department, law enforcement, I turn red. Now, I know I'm going to walk out with some enemies, but the very same people that are complaining about law enforcement not doing the job, and the homelessness, and what have you, are the very same people that are voting for Prop 47, 57, 81, 109. Maybe they should be careful and study the propositions before they start voting on them. And then law enforcement is not doing their job, or the issue about homelessness. Let me tell you, I grew up in Watts, Compton, East LA, where shots are fired every hour in the hour, and shots become background noise. This is not bad. And it's going to get worse with Governor Brown with the no bail, the increase in raids, robberies, homicides with no bail. I used to put people in with no bail, or $1 million bail. Now we have no bail. And it's going to get worse. So I ask the city council that you protect and defend law enforcement from any wrongful accusations, because they do their damnedest to protect everybody's life and safety, whether you like them or not. It's not your fault. It's nobody's fault, but their fault. They should not be voting for Prop 47, 57, 81, and 9.
Thank you. Ramiro Rodriguez, and after Ramiro, I think it's either Diana or Diane. Diana?
Hello, I'm back. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to public to speak. One of the reasons I come to these meetings is to learn. I hear people beside me, around me, just how long is this going to be over? I don't come here for it to be over. I don't come here for things to be rubber stamped. I want to learn. I found out something very important about the fire department, how it's being, why it's coming. Mr. Harris said exactly the details. The city is going to be saving money. That's all good. The thing would happen, I think, just smoke and mirrors, like I keep saying. It's a magic show. We're trying to press more attention on one person so we don't distract us from the other thing that's going on. One of the important things is that the questions that Blanca and Ms. Gomez asked is the stuff that us, the public, the general public, wants to know. Not all of us are as well read or well knowledgeable like you guys are out there, knowing exactly common practices every single week. I know it becomes boring week after week, but we don't know all the things that are going on. Sometimes things get monotonous, things get complacent, and people start rushing out in things. And the thing is now, somebody's asking questions. That's all. Just answer it. Because it's the truth is you guys work for us. And we want to know exactly where it's all going. That the legal service that contracted, they didn't really not sue individuals. They're suing the city now because the city's got no money, not the individuals. So we're at almost $20 million. Now we're going to pay this agency $185,000 to make the problem go away. That's Andrew R. Kitzinger's speciality. That's the reason. So I don't want it to go away. I want to know why it happened. Why we're at almost $20 million of this situation. Whether it was your fault or the guys before you guys' fault it was. That's what's important. And that's me, Joe Q. Public, or like they say, Joe Sixpack, we want to know exactly what's going on, why this happened. And somebody just dared to ask the questions, and that person's getting vilified. You know, to us it doesn't sound that correct. Another thing, I spoke about also about being subpoenaed and being, and I swear to know, on the back of materials of the item I was discussing, page 55 of 98 of the PDF file, it states right there that required persons addressing the city council to be sworn in as witnesses to testify. That's number 4.
You have 30 seconds.
And on 57, page 57 of 98, on the back of materials, it also says there will be subpoenaed of things that we want to talk about here. So what you guys told me and what's written on the back of materials kind of don't coincide. Thank you.
Donna?
Hello, my name is Diana, and I'm a resident of the High Desert, and I love it here. It breaks my heart and it hurts my heart to see all of you just, you know, in a not so nice way break down one of your team members. See, I used to work for Trader Joe's company in the Human Resources Department, and one thing I would do was corporate get-togethers and making sure that people in corporate settings were acting appropriately to each other. And this is not appropriate. You guys need an intervention, okay? And then also, thank you so much for giving us this city equipment, because I've been complaining about the recordings and the sound for about a year and a half now. Nothing was ever done, so I really appreciate that. Someday, maybe you guys will read my emails about cannabis. So I also wanted to let you know that I did do the grand jury complaint, and they'll be looking into whether you broke your oath by not enacting cannabis laws. And then also, I wanted to give this to Ms. Blanca Gomez, our wonderful council person. It says, be a pineapple, stand tall, wear a crown, and I know you, so be sweet on the inside just like you are. We all appreciate you from the community, so thank you. We really do. And I'm kind of sad that you weren't chosen for the Homeless Council because you do so much work with our took with the, you're welcome. We really appreciate the time you took with the Victorville County for the homeless. That was a really great time, and we really appreciate that. And even though other people don't see all of the hard work that you do at Route 66 and for the homeless and for all of us, we really appreciate that you're out there with us, talking to us, and being a part of who we are. So thank you so much, Blanca. And that's all I have to say. Thank you so much, and I hope that you have a good night and rest easy knowing that the grand jury will be looking at how you vote on the council. And also, Mr. City Manager, I just want to let you know that you're supposed to be here doing what the taxpayers can't and won't do for themselves, like making sure that we have roads and lights and stuff. And then City Clerk, you're supposed to be the voice of the people. So just making sure that the city stays with that vision, you know. Gloria, seems like you've gotten a little bit off track about the city vision.
Your time is up.
Maybe you need to revisit it.
Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
April Kingston.
I have been going door to door this last 2 weeks, ever since the last city council meeting, collecting signatures to recall Blanca. Now, some of the things that I said earlier as far as the police officers not doing their job, now I understand that is not. I do not feel that the police officers are not doing their job. What I don't think is that we have enough officers on duty. The city is growing exponentially. We are not hiring enough police officers. I'm not getting return phone calls. I'm only telling you what the people of this city have told me as I'm going door to door. My other concern is that I have addressed on numerous occasions is the music ordinance. It is not being enforced. And I would like to see if you guys could put it on the agenda, because the program that is in place right now is not working. And if at first you don't succeed, you don't keep trying again. You stop, analyze what you did wrong, and take a different approach. It's not working. And when I have to close all my windows and all my doors because Joe Blow up the street 2 blocks away has their music so loud, and I can't get a response from anybody. Now, I will tell you, George has been awesome, okay? He always returns my phone calls. And Jim Cox, I appreciate you too, and Eric. Now, I am getting a response, but I'm still not, I'm having to listen to this stuff, foul language, till, 11, 12 o'clock at night, and nobody responds. And then the dispatchers get nasty and say, well, we have higher priorities. And then they threaten me because I keep calling. Now, I will tell you, I have PTSD, okay? I have rage issues. And when I have to close my doors and shut myself in, and I can't enjoy my home, my yard, that's just wrong. Having to listen to that garbage, I don't care what. Why is it that I have to listen to somebody else's garbage 2 blocks away? And we need to put this on the agenda, and something needs to be done about it, please. Because as of this week, I'm putting my house up for sale, and I don't want to leave Victorville. But I can't take it anymore. It's just ridiculous, and it's every night. Nearly every night.
Maggie Martin.
Good evening, Your Honor, Council. I just want to read something from the Recall Blanca Gomez page that I posted a week and a half ago in reference to some shenanigans from the opposition on me being out for the Walmart in Aragosa. It's about freedom of speech. It goes like this from Ms. Gomez. Recall Blanca Gomez family. The following comments are directly to Ms. Gomez and her supporter. First, last, and always. You will not keep me from my First Amendment right to free speech. Get that straight. Secondly, if you can't take it, and apparently you can't, then don't dish it. Here are the lies Ms. Gomez has and continues to perpetuate about me. That I work for AESD, not since 2013. That I have favoritism with the council or any of the decisions they make. That I have colluded with, that's a quote from her little courthouse deal in August, Facebooking there. That I have colluded with the courts against her. Does she even know what collude means? I doubt it. Furthermore, Diana Esmeralda Holt Casado, one of Blanca's little Atlanta minions, responded to the Daily Press last article about the August 21st council meeting stating, quote, I'm, quote, stalking Blanca. Before anyone asserts that, they may want to grab a penal code. Additionally, Ms. Esmeralda makes allegations of harassment and claims that Blanca has a restraining order against me. These, my recall family, are the lies Blanca tells. Lies at this point are all she has because her political career is over and she's out of quarters. So to Ms. Gomez, I say this, put up or shut up. In case you don't know what that expression means, it means show proof. Because sister, at least I show you what I'm working with. Too bad you can't do the same. Thank you.
Those are all the cards that I have. So now we will go into our city manager's report.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, thanks for the time to speak. There's one item off script that I did want to share with you, and I did want to give a particular thank you to not only the executive management, but all of the department leadership that was involved in helping us launch the new city website. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. We put a considerable amount of time and energy into not only creating the look and feel of it, but we really went through version after version, trying to have it satisfy and be customer friendly and satisfy what the customer is going to be looking for, asking for at that website. So we did it very focused on the customer needs, trying to make it easy for them to interface with us on the website. One thing that we did incorporate is the report a problem tab on there, and we've designed it not only on the front end but the back end so that all issues, whether it's pothole or lost dog or even homeless encampment issues, if it's not a phone call now, the website that we use as a portal to help communicate those issues, and they go to a live person immediately. So I wanted to certainly recognize the effort from all the department heads, leadership, executive teams. It was a real team effort. Just as always is the case with rollouts, we certainly encourage you to navigate through it. We're taking comments right now and making modifications for the things that we did overlook. We've already found a couple, so certainly would welcome your feedback. And getting back to the script, this month, the entire month is library card sign-up month, and that's over at the Victorville Library. It's free to all California residents. To get your library card, you must be in person, must also have a valid ID and proof of address. You can call the library for more information. Then we also have a run in the park at Hook Park on Saturday, September 8th. Check-in is at 7:30, the run starts at 8:01 a.m. And that's a free event. It's both a 3K and a 5K course set up in and around the park. That's all I have.
Thank you. Now we move on to item B3, discussion and possible action regarding items for the upcoming city council agenda. I'll start with Mr. McRae.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I appreciate Ms. Pinkston's comments about the noise issue. Same thing happened in my neighborhood where 1 year, 3 homeowners had all left at the same time. And unfortunately, we do have people that come to the city from somewhere else or different situations. And, you see that how they treat their pets when they leave them outside in the heat, chained to a doghouse or whatever, they neglect their animals. And, you know, I always encourage folks to come to us and, you know, try to correct that behavior because, you know, it's nothing personal, but, you know, there's certain standards. You know, you know, if you can't live with your neighbors, that's gonna be a slippery slope. We don't want those folks to go down. When I lived in Los Angeles, there was not enough police, but your neighbors were very important. And I know we have a lot of great people here. So I would like to request that the council put on the next agenda, whether it's the music ordinance or nuisance. I didn't realize it was called a music ordinance, or if we could put that on the agenda for discussion at the next meeting, that would be my motion.
I believe, for the record, I believe you do have a social post ordinance on the record that we could check, and certainly if that's the council's desire, we look at it.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Negretti, seconded by Mayor Garcia. All those in favor?
Aye.
All
I'm
those
going to do a
opposed?
substitute motion, just by adding it on the next agenda, I think we have to have a study. Has anybody gone to the neighborhood and knocked on those doors and see specifically what's taking place? No. So I think we need to have a study where it's just not this, but the following agenda to actually add it, because I've actually been door knocking there, and I know there's a couple of facts, so I'll be going to that area and bringing people here, so there's a stability of equality of what actually is happening in that neighborhood. That is my substitute motion.
Is there a second? There being a second, the motion dies. The original motion made by Mr. Negretti, seconded by Mayor Garcia. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries with Ms. Gomez voting no. Mr. Kennedy?
That was kind of what I wanted to bring up, so.
I have an item on the report, not for the agenda. Thank you.
Ms. Gomez?
So now we move on to E4, reports from council members. It's a 3-minute time limit. I'll start with Mr. Thomas.
Just going back to B1, I'd like to have an excerpt of all the comments. Those are, I consider, some very serious charges were made. If they're made by a council member, I believe that the general public, our members of the general public believe that they're true, and I think we have an obligation to answer that. And one way to answer that is to refer to the attorney. I think I know what the outcome will be, and we don't need another charge saying, well, he's part of the good old boys team, and therefore didn't find anything wrong. I don't see anything wrong with asking the attorney to provide the copies to the council members, but to provide that to the grand jury or the district attorney. I'm tired of people charging me with stuff that there's no basis whatsoever. That's a motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cox, seconded by Mr. Kennedy. All those in favor? Aye.
I'm going to add a modification to what you just said, because there were these serious allegations from Kennedy's mouth that also was serious allegations in regards to my personhood. And I would also like Mr. Kennedy's excerpts to be supplied to council, to the DA, and to the jury, because those are very serious allegations. So I would like to add that to this motion.
Is there a second? There being no second, the motion dies. The original motion by Mr. Cox, seconded by Mr. Kennedy. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries with Ms. Gomez voting no. Ms. Gomez, did you have anything?
For comments? Reports. Yes. So, this is on video, everybody saw. When I talk about status quo, I asked for the same thing that our manager for 30 years requested on my allegations to submit to the DA. I requested the exact same thing with the allegations that Kennedy did on the last agenda. Was that motioned or seconded? No. So this is what you need to start looking at. What is happening in front of the dais? What is taking place? And what is ganging up on who? If there was a teamship happening here, there's no reason why to say, let's not second that, because it's the same exact thing. I just didn't have the language. I'm not as smart as Mr. Cox. And I don't have the 4 people on my side either. But that should show you distinctively what is happening at the dais. So if you caught that for the daily press, this is evidence right here that you're seeing right before your eyes. The next thing that I wanted to add is on the website, there's a mobile site version, but I'm not looking at the language conversion. I did send Brandon Kills an email. I haven't checked my email for today to see if he responded, but I'd like staff to know that when I look at the mobile version, it's either hidden or I'm not grasping where the language conversion is, but if that's not there, that can be added because the desktop version does have it. And for the record, not too long ago, I asked publicly to receive information of public comments. And the city manager wrote me an email stating that it was confidential information. The public cannot see this from the view of where it's coming from, but we can share it by normal practice for a council. You do not see this, but I sit here every single meeting, and Jim Cox gets the information from whatever is called confidential, and he's able to get it that way. But when I ask this on public, if I can get this, I get an email saying, no, you cannot get it. So I'm letting you know what I'm seeing, what's happening. He takes notes, he writes down your information, your number, everything that needs to be done. And when I do it officially, like I'm doing right now, I get a note through a silent email, which none of you get. The next thing, on a different note, in 2008, the city of Victorville transitioned from a general law city to a charter city. In a general law city, state laws govern the actions of the city. In a charter city, the organization, which in this case is the city of Victorville, has supreme authority over all municipal affairs. I have not received an answer as to why the city would need to transition, and it seems to resemble the city of Bell, where the city transitioned to pay themselves handsomely without public knowledge. If you want to know who you're voting for, ask the candidates if they would support disbanding the charter and if they would vote for this. And this is power to the people. The charter needs to be unraveled to expose what is happening behind closed doors. So start looking into that and pay attention.
That's all we have?
No,
Oh.
no.
I'm sorry.
My allegations were not allegations. They were statements, clearly documented, factual events. There was no question that they occurred. They weren't allegations. And I have, sorry, do y'all hear that? I didn't shout it loud enough. My statements were not allegations. They were documented, factual events, no question about it. I also am fortunate that I had the kind of upbringing in my family where my parents taught me not to refer to other people in a rude fashion. In 8 years on this council, you've never heard me call anybody rudely by their last name. I believe I've spent enough time here and I've spent enough time in my career to warrant appropriate respect for my name. I give it to her, she should give it to the rest of us. That's all.
Madam Mayor, thank you. Thank you for everyone who's still here. We appreciate your participation. And I would like to just thank our law enforcement folks for the great job they do, fire and public safety in general. It's easy for us to say we support them, but they have a tough job to do, and I would agree with comments earlier. If anybody ever thinks that the federal government, the state, the county, and cities are aligned and working toward common goals, it's not true. Things that happen at the federal level impact us, things that happen at the state level impact us heavily. But I never see the state assembly folks get the kind of vitriol and pushback for their policies, although at the local level, we have to bear the cost. And what you're seeing, and I keep saying this, and I don't think a lot of people realize it, since 2000 to 2015, we doubled in size, from 60,000 to 120,000 people. So that's what we're experiencing. Collectively, we're in this together, and we need to come up with solutions and work together and maintain those strong relationships, because we're being tested all the time. If you empty the jails, if you vote for those things that the previous commenter mentioned, this is the result. It's sort of a perfect storm, plus our proximity to the freeway being between Los Angeles and Las Vegas. But anyway, Bottom line is, so what can we do about it? We all inherited, whether it's your job, your city you live in, or whatever, you inherited problems and a problem set that you have to deal with today. So when people do get involved and do what we're doing, we are literally doing what we can to do, to add police as much as we can, without raising taxes, which that would really help. Don't get me wrong, if we could get there one day with a public safety tax, instead of adding one a year, we could add 10 deputies instead of, at one time. Instead of making incremental improvements to fire, we could do a lot with that. And so it's a team effort, and you know, we're going to continue to grow. That's the problem. The stress on our services is not going away. So I'm looking forward to the challenge, but I can just predict if we keep adding 1 year.
30 seconds?
In 10 years, we'll have 30,000 more people here, and so that doesn't seem to be too promising. But you know what? That's why we got to address these and look for the future. I'm hopeful, and I sure hope we don't lose any great residents. Appreciate it.
I have a final comment. Since the Daily Press is here, I invite you to come and look at my paperwork, find any confidential memorandums, present, past. And since you heard the challenge, I hope you will ask this individual who made the charge to approve it, because it's just false. Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming.
I just want to say thank you to our city manager and staff for just the wonderful work that they do and the assistance that they do give us. And for those that probably wonder, you know, why they're always saying that I don't know what's going on within our city, I am sorry, I do know what's going on. I have known for all my life, for that matter. And Mr. Cox and I have taken a lot of tours around the city. He has shown me a lot of areas that I didn't even know existed, and I've always lived here. He has pointed out to me so many different things that are helpful for me to make decisions for our residents. I thank Ryan McCochran for the assistance that he gave me during his tenure here with us. These are wonderful people, and I have nothing but gratitude for all the things that I learned from them. And when I decided to run for city council, I did not run because I wanted recognition. I did not run because I felt that I needed to climb up the ladder. I didn't do any of that. I did it because this is my city. I love the people. I wanted to do something more. Why? My children ask me, what's wrong with you? They don't even appreciate you anymore. But you know what? Maybe 10 out of the 130 or 50 that we do have don't appreciate me. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I do it for the ones that do. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. God bless you. Meeting adjourned.